The plaintiff is suing a puppy owner for the breach of contract, and the defendant, Calvin Owensby, is countersuing a freak show owner for emotional distress. State your claim, John.
Well, Your Honor, Judge Pirro, it's an honor to be in your courtroom. I come from a long line of circus family. I grew up in California. My mom and dad started this family circus. My mom was the animal trainer, training the elephants, the dogs, the ponies. We started small. 40 years later, we have a big show in Coney Island. We went from California with my show to Coney Island. Very historic for shows like mine and amusements. It's the amusement capital of the world. In this museum, I have several animals. I'd like to present this as evidence. We have a turtle, Pete and Repeat, with 2 heads. That's the first picture.
Pete and Repeat?
Pete and Repeat.
Yeah, that's Pete, and that's... How do you know which is which, actually?
Well,
which is Repeat? Pete
eats the most, and, you know, Repeat...
Okay, what am I looking at right here?
Now, we have a little horse. He's 19 inches tall, Tiny Timmy. He's... He's a dwarf miniature, and all the kids love him the most in our show in Coney Island. And we also have a 6-legged cow. That's the only one in the world. It's got 2 complete bodies. It's got another body coming right out.
2 complete bodies?
Yes, ma'am. And we have about 27 live unusual animals in our show. And a friend of mine called me from North Carolina, and he says, I saw on the news a very special puppy. It's 4 weeks old, and you should really check it out, John. I said, well, I'm going to try to Google it on the computer, and I saw a video of this puppy. In fact, I brought a video on Precious. If you wanted to see what Precious... Oh, there's Precious up there on the monitor.
Which one?
Precious is right there. She's the Chihuahua Terrier.
So is that what's dragging? That's the leg?
That's a parasitic twin. That would have been her sister that didn't develop properly.
No, what is that? Is that the leg?
That's a white leg, which I've never seen in... You notice her other legs are brown, but this one is very prominent.
Right.
Next on Judge Pirro.
How many dogs in the
She had 5 little puppies, and Precious was the second one come out. And I feel like she was not a freak. She was a puppy.
Aww.
And later.
He knew that I was looking for a celebrity judge. And young Nino had a song like 4 years ago that was popular in the Dallas area.
It's still the hottest song in Dallas, my bad.
Oh, okay, still the hottest song.
A friend of mine called me from North Carolina, and he says, I saw on the news a very special puppy.
Plaintiff John Strong is suing the former owner of a 5-legged puppy. John claims the defendant breached their contract when he sold the animal that John was planning to feature in his Coney Island Freak Show.
So tell me about this show. I mean, it is...
It's called the Coney Island Freak Show.
The Coney Island Freak Show. Okay. I love New York, but the whole city's a freak show. I mean, I don't know. What makes you so special?
We have the most oddities. We have 250 attractions in all.
So people come to look at these animals?
Yes, we put on a live show. We get 3,000 or 4,000 a day.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, when I got 2 kids home from college, 2 dogs who get groomed more than I do, and a pot-bellied pig. You want to see a freak show, you can come to my house, too. I mean, you know.
Your pot-bellied pig is named Wilbur.
Uh-oh.
Charlotte's Web.
You've done your homework.
I saw you on television last night. You'll have to bring your pig to see my 8-legged pig.
My pig isn't going anywhere near your freak show. Nowhere near. My Wilbur, you know what? My Wilbur's on arthritis medication. I'll tell you the story about Wilbur. I'm reading Charlotte's Web to my kids. This is years ago. They're little kids. And I said to them, I said, shall we get a Wilbur? And they're like, yes, Mommy, yes. So I go out and I get Wilbur, right? 19 years later, the kids are gone. They're off in college. And I'm feeding Wilbur his arthritis medicine every day. It's me and Wilbur, all right? But good for you. You did your homework. Doesn't help you, but yes, I do like animals. I absolutely love animals. But you know what? This is a breach of contract case. We're going to decide the issues based on that. Calvin, tell me about Precious.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about, you had 2 dogs, and one of them became pregnant and then delivered a litter, right? How many dogs in the
She had 5 little puppies, and Precious was the second one come out. And I feel like she was not a freak. She was a puppy.
Aww.
I love my dogs.
Did you know when you had a conversation with John where Precious might be?
No, I didn't know it was a freak show. He told me it was made an animal show, and he did not say one whole time it was a freak show.
I don't mean to interrupt. That's not true. I told you I had a two-headed cow and a two-headed turtle. That's a freak show.
What do you do? What's the next thing that happened?
I called paper. He come out, took a picture of it and everything, and he put it on TV.
What did you expect to gain from the publicity?
I wouldn't explain nothing.
Okay. All right. So your version is you see the press, and what happens?
I see the press, and I called Mr. Owensby, and I said that I have an amazing animal show, and I offered him $2,000, and he said, that's a very good offer, but I need to discuss it with my girlfriend first, and I'll get back to you. He said, okay, but my girlfriend wants $3,000, and I said, okay, Mr. Owensby, I'll give you $1,000 down right now. I know you're out of work. It says that in the paper.
But did you receive any money of the $3,000?
He sent me $1,000.
When do you decide that you don't want to sell Precious?
July 1st.
When did you send him the $1,000?
The 29th of June.
29th of June, and then the next day. When is this transfer to take place?
The transfer was a wire Western Union transfer. It was
No, the
immediate.
transfer of the dog. I'm sorry.
In 14 days when it was weaned. I told him to come up and spend a couple of days with us in the next couple of days at my cost.
Okay. So you had offered him to come to visit the amazing animal show.
To make sure that we're good people, we take good care of our animals, that he didn't have any qualms about selling the dog to me. I wanted him to make sure that it was going to a good home.
All right. Now, so you decide that you're going to not sell him the dog. Did you get the money back?
2 weeks later, he didn't have the money because the lady from about 20 miles south of his hometown in Charlotte, she says, I know this is all about money. I don't want that dog going to the Coney Island Freak Show, so how much do you want to, and he said, I need to make a $3,000 profit. I already spent $1,000 of Mr. Strong's money. I want to get that back to him. The lady said, right in the articles, it says, this is a matter of money, and I don't want it going to the Freak Show, and
Here's the bottom line. You sent him the $1,000 back.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I sold the dog to her on January the 2nd.
July the 2nd?
July 2nd, ma'am.
Okay. All right. When do you get your money back, John?
On the 15th of July.
On the 15th of July.
He called me and said, you're the devil, you're satanic. I pulled up you as the devil, and I'm religious, and I can't have my dog going to the devil. I was in a movie called Batman Returns, and I was one of the circus gang members under Danny DeVito, and I blew the 30-foot balls of fire and blew up Gotham City and the Batmobile.
But once you pull it up on the internet.
Yeah, but he was an actor. You think he's the devil?
I didn't know he was an actor. He didn't say no actor.
You think that he's like a devil for real?
When I pull it up, here's a picture of it.
He doesn't think the dog's unusual with 5 legs. He thinks it's normal, too.
Oh, what? You don't think a dog with 5 legs is normal? Come on. Where are you?
He was the devil.
Is this you?
That was a Halloween party 2 years ago when we were at the State
You like
Fair.
dressing up as a devil? I mean, this is
no,
like a...
my wife was actually the angel.
All right, that was very informative, but not relevant. Okay, so...
I also got pictures of Precious and her mom and daddy.
Let's see Precious. Let's see. How is Precious doing now before
She's doing
we
real
get to
fine, ma'am. I got a video of her.
You have a video?
Hopping around, yes, ma'am. I do. I got a
Okay,
video
can we
of her.
see that? Aw. Well, let's see the video.
7-week-old Lily is finally doing what puppies do, eating dirt, chewing on everything, and receiving and giving back lots of love.
Something just that simple. It changed her life.
Up until yesterday, Lily had a 5th leg, her future uncertain as a Coney Island Freak Show owner fought to add her as one of his acts. She took Lily to have it removed.
Other than this little blue thing around her neck, she is just a ball of fire.
One tiny puppy, just 3 pounds, born slightly different, that's captured the entire country's heart.
Okay, so Precious has a new name, Lily.
The verdict when we return. And coming up.
Let me give you a news flash.
Yes, ma'am.
If the police shoot at you, it doesn't give you the right to shoot back at them.
Right. I agree.
If you'd like to be a part of Judge Pirro's courtroom, call 1-877-JP-RULES or visit www.judgejp.com for ticket information.
And he did not say one whole time it was a freak show.
I told you I had a 2-headed cow and a 2-headed turtle. That's a freak show.
Plaintiff John Strong is suing the former owner of a 5-legged puppy. John claims the defendant breached their contract when he sold the animal that John was planning to feature in his Coney Island Freak Show.
You were suing him for emotional distress. Why?
Yes, ma'am. And all this stuff that's coming on, because people start calling me on the phone, cussing me out, and I wouldn't even know what I get. Guys, New York City called me.
Those New Yorkers, I'll tell you, they get on the phone all the time.
He shouldn't have put his unlisted number in the paper.
You put your unlisted number in the paper?
Yes, ma'am. They put it in the paper. But not for the people that call me, cussing me out.
You think that if you put a cell phone number out there, it's just going to float in the air and nobody's going to use it?
I thought you were going to call me out, get me a job.
All right, John.
The principle is I bought Precious because I fell in love with her, and she was going to be a big asset. I think it's the principle of the matter that if you pay for something and you put the money out and they say you can have it and you do everything you can to let them know you're a good person, I don't want to be labeled as somebody that doesn't take care of my animals, because you're an animal lover, I'm an animal lover, I'm sure everybody in the courtroom loves...
And Calvin is too.
Calvin, too.
All right. The issue for the court is whether or not the defendant is liable to the plaintiff for breach of contract and whether or not the plaintiff is liable to the defendant for the intentional infliction of emotional distress. The plaintiff has alleged that he had a contract with the defendant that was broken. Let me give you some fundamental contract law here. To make a contract, you have to have an offer, unqualified acceptance, you have to have consideration, something of value, and you have to have the capacity to enter into the contract. There's no question. There was an offer here. He offered $2,000. He came back and said $3,000. He said, okay, and there was unqualified acceptance here. The consideration is the $1,000 that he sent to the defendant, and so there's a binding legal contract, which therefore is enforceable in a court of law. This is fundamental contract law. The defendant, on the other hand, is saying, I suffered emotional distress because of all this. Everybody's calling me. They don't want my dog going to a freak show. I don't want my dog going to a freak show. P.S. Calvin, you're the one who gave your number to the press. You're the one who called the press based upon your sworn testimony to me in court. Therefore, there is no way, shape, or form that the plaintiff is liable for you for emotional distress. My not awarding you money for emotional distress doesn't mean I don't think you were stressed, but in a court of law, and that's where we are today,
yes,
you have not made out a cause of action for that. John made an offer. It was accepted. We've got a contract, pure and simple, and the defendant broke it. The defendant gets these phone calls, gets cold feet, then gets a call from what's-her-name who offers $4,000 and says, hey, I'm giving him his $1,000 back. I'm getting $4,000 over here. And he then breaches the contract. The issue for the court is what is the value of that contract.
Well, it's got to be $4,000 because...
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But that was a rhetorical question.
I thought you were directing it to me.
Yeah. Let me just say that I am an animal lover. As a DA, I prosecuted people who were abusive to animals. It's not something that's normally done. I love animals, okay? But that will not affect my decision, all right? I would much prefer that an animal be with a woman who, you know, is going to pet that animal and take care of the animal. And the human side of me, Janine, is totally with you. But I'm a judge, and we heard this from the Sonia Sotomayor hearings. It isn't about your empathy for one side or the other. It's the law. This is a court of law. You prove breach of contract. You get yourself $4,000.
Thank you, Judge Pirro.
Thank you.